On number 30 is Kashtira Fenrir, which is mainly used in Kashtira and in tournaments, as well as just being a generic card to use in any deck for extra disruptions or to help break boards. This card would be even higher on this list if it weren't limited to one. Fenrir is also Farfa's number 1 nemesis. On 29 we have Bonfire, mainly used in Snake Eyes Fire King, and Rescue Ace. In this fire meta, basically every fire deck uses this card for extra consistency, being a 1-card starter when it searches Poplar or Snake Eye Ash. On 28 we have Underworld Goddess, a Link 5 monster that can be summoned using your opponent's monsters as well, and it also comes with a Graveyard Negate, and it also comes with Protection. This is basically the perfect extra deck card to get rid of unaffected boss monsters like Experling War. On 27 we have Snake Eyes Poplar, also mainly used in Snake Eyes Fire King, and Rescue Ace. It's the main search target of the popular card Bonfire, as it special summons itself when searched, and searches for original sinful spoils, which opens up new ways into different combos. On 26 and 25 we have both Zelantis and Salamangreat Raging Phoenix, which are basically always used together. These two cards are mainly used in the extra deck of all fire decks. It enables you to OTK by just having any fire on field plus Raging Phoenix, which you can link off to summon Zelantis, and if you have Promethean Princess in grave, it will make it so that your princess destroys your fire monster to summon itself, then Raging Phoenix summons itself, then Zelantis can also destroy too, making Zelantis and Raging Phoenix the most popular way to end games in this format that's dominated by fire. On 24 we have Wanted, Seeker of Sinful Spoils. It's a 1-card starter, and the main way to search for Diabelster the Black Witch, and if that wasn't enough, it can also recycle your Sinful Spoils cards from grave or banish zone and also draw a card. It is mainly used again in Snake Eyes Fire King, and Rescue Ace. On 23 we have Access Code Talker, another popular way to OTK. It's a Link 4 that usually goes up to 5300 attack, and has the effect to destroy multiple cards per turn without your opponent being able to respond to it, meaning it's hard to negate. It is used in any deck that plays a good amount of Link monsters. On 22 we have Diabelster the Black Witch, a 1-card starter for any deck that plays a fire monster, mainly use Snake Eyes Fire King, and Rescue Ace, but also in Infernoble, Volcanic, Infernoid, and many more decks. Its cost of a discard is laughable considering the amount of advantage this 1 card can generate. On 21 we have Dark the Dark Charmer, a staple extra deck piece in many Link-focused decks that aim to climb up to cards like Promethean Princess, Access Code Talker, Zelantis, or just Underworld Goddess. It is used in any deck that uses a dark monster, or any deck that has a level 1 monster, since they can link it into Linkuribo, which is a dark. On number 20 we have Original Sinful Spoils, the main search target, or Poplar and Diabelster the Black Witch. It's amazing how many cards are played just to search this, which include Poplar, Diabelster Black Witch, Bonfire, and Wanted. As if its broken effect of summoning any level 1 fire from deck wasn't enough, it also has a grave effect to basically search any level 1 fire from deck, meaning the deck that plays it is guaranteed to always have follow-up on the next turn. On number 19 we have Nightmare Phoenix, an extra deck staple that requires any 2 monsters, and has a simple effect of destroying a spell or trap, and of course being a fire attribute these days is a blessing. It's also useful for getting monsters off the field. On number 18 we have Driver. Let's skip this for now. On number 17 we have Hida, the Fire Charmer, which is used in every deck that plays a fire, which is every meta deck these days. It has the simple effect of reviving a fire monster, which is mainly used to link climb into cards like Promethean Princess, Underworld Goddess, or Zelantis for an easy OTK. On number 16 we have Frame Gear Gamma, which is exclusively played alongside Frame Driver. Gamma has the simple effect of being a monster negate and destroy that you can activate from hand if you control no monsters, and it basically punishes activating Max C early, basically forcing many players to play around it by not activating hand traps when their opponent has an empty field, and when it's activated, it summons itself and Driver to the field, giving easy access to level 8 monsters like Excel Synchro Stardust, which can then go into a level 10 like Baran, to protect from any further hand traps. On number 15 we have yugioh, an extra deck staple used in any deck that plays a level 1 monsters, which is basically all of the fire meta decks. It gets your level 1 into the grave. While in grave, it and quick effect summon itself by tributing a level 1 on field, giving you an easy way to dodge target negating like Imperm. It's also dark, so it gives easy access into Dark the Dark Charmer. On number 14 we have Promethean Princess, a staple in the fire meta, which for some reason has generic materials. Princess is both an extender and disruptions during your opponent's turn. It's also what makes the Zelantis OTK possible. It has the simple effect of reviving any fire from grave, then during your opponent's turn if it's in grave, it can destroy a fire you control and an opponent's monster. And its restriction of only being able to summon fire while on the field is laughable for all the fire decks that use this card. On number 13 we have Appaloosa, a generic Link 4 that has negates as much as materials used for its Link summon, with no once per turn on it, meaning if you summoned it using 4 materials, it will negate 4 times. Its biggest weakness is having no battle protection, but that's not an issue when you have cards like yugioh to protect it. This card is basically the ultimate payoff for combo decks that summon a lot. On number 12 we have Divine Arsenal AA Zeus Sky Thunder, which is a rank 12 that you can summon over an Xyz monster. If an Xyz battled this turn, then it can wipe the field of any cards. If you play an Xyz monster in your extra deck, then you also play Zeus. It's an extremely powerful extra deck going second staple that will win you games that you have no right to win. On number 11 we have Baran de Fleur, a level 10 synchro monster that has an Omni negate. With completely generic materials, Baran is perfect for any deck that has a tuner, even if you don't have tuners. But you have level 7 monsters, then Esh Blossom can be your tuner into an easy Baran. On number 10 we have Effect Veiler, a hand trap that negates a monster on field during your opponent's turn, with no one per turn on it, meaning if you have multiple copies, you have multiple negates. It's also a tuner, giving it more utility. It's also used in some decks like Sky Striker to make Selene, which summons a spellcaster, meaning Effect Veiler itself, to then make Access Code Talker. On number 9 we have Triple Tactics Thrust, one of the best designed cards in the game. It has 3 amazing effects: either draw 2, or steal an opponent's monster, or look at your opponent's hand and shuffle a card from it back to deck. But all these effects are locked until your opponent activates a monster effect in the main phase. This card forces people to activate Max C in the draw phase to avoid making it live. It also protects you from further hand traps if your opponent has already activated one that turn. On number 8 we have IP Masquerena, another extra deck staple with generic materials, requiring just any 2 non-link monsters, even tokens. The utility with this card is crazy. Its main use is making SP Little Knight with it during your opponent's turn for 2 disruptions, or making Appaloosa during your opponent's turn, or linking with your opponent's monster during their turn to make Underworld Goddess. It also gives destruction protection to any monster it summons. On number 7 we have Nibiru, another card that changed how people play the game. Many decks these days aim to get a negate before their 5th summon, because if they can't, then Nibiru is going to wipe their field and give them a useless token instead. This card will win you games by itself. On number 6 we have Crossout Designator, which can negate any card as long as you play a copy of it yourself, which is perfect in Tier 0 formats where most duels are mirror matches. But it's more ideally used to negate common hand traps like Max C, Ash Blossom, Nibiru, or Imperm. Speak of the devil. On number 5 we have Infinite Impermanence. What makes this trap card unique is being able to activate it from your hand to simple negate a monster on field. But if you do set it, then it negates the column of spells or traps. This changed how people play this game, often avoiding a column that has a set card fearing it could be Imperm. What makes this card better than a similar card like Effect Veiler is that it's a trap, so it can't be negated by Called by the Grave, and it doesn't make Triple Tactics talent live when used. On number 4 we have Called by the Grave, which targets a card in grave to banish and negate it. Perfect for negating hand traps like Max C, Ash Blossom, or Effect Veiler. It's also just used to banish any monster that has a grave effect, making it extremely versatile and used in almost every deck in the game. In number 3 we have SP Little Knight, the perfect extra deck staple for whatever situation you're in. It's a Link 2 that just requires 2 effect monsters. But it can do anything. Need a monster off the field? Done. Need a continuous spell or trap gone? SP Little Knight will do that. Do they have follow-up in their grave you need to deal with? Little Knight also banishes from grave, and if they try to negate it, it simply jumps off the field, meaning your opponent has to use 2 disruptions on it if they want to stop it. It's also summoned during your opponent's turn thanks to cards like Masquerena and Soul of Rage, making this card the most used extra deck card in Master Duel. On number 2 we have Ash Blossom, one of the best hand traps in the game. It negates searching from deck, summoning from deck, or simply drawing cards. It's also always remained widely used thanks to Max C. There isn't a deck in the game that doesn't search or summon from deck, meaning Ash Blossom is almost never a dead card in hand. It's also a tuner, giving it more utility in case of a bad hand. And finally, on number 1, we have the one and only Max C, which is used in 93% in all decks in Master Duel. If this card resolves, it's over. It's either you ignore it and give your opponent 20 cards in hand, or you end on 1 disruption, giving your opponent an easy board to break and OTK you next turn. At worst case scenario you chain this to your opponent's card that special summons to go hand neutral. The absolute most toxic use of this card is building your board of negates, then dropping Max C on your opponent, giving them absolutely no chance of winning that game. It's also the reason everyone plays 3 Ash Blossom, 2 Called By, and 1 Crossout, in basically every deck. Definitely the most broken card ever printed. Subscribe for more videos like this.